that's how it works. It's ridiculously simple. It allows me to focus on, playing my show and not having to tap dance. And I'm making no sacrifice in tone with this head because of the fact that so much is built in. It's not super complicated. I don't have to have a ton of gear or other crazy things happening to get all the basic necessities of sound for what we're playing out of anything else. I don't know if you can see right here. This is the insider software that you can download from Blackstar's website. And this is what I was referencing before, which is the computer portion of everything. So that when you open this software, it's a screen version of this. And it has the same knobs. And if you see, I'm gonna rotate the knobs on here. You can watch the lights change on the head. So right now, if you look at the voice part, I'm scrolling up and down on the computer and it's controlling it. So when I create my presets, that's what's happening is, it just depends. Some people want to interact with the computer, some people want to interact with the head, but when they're connected, they're communicating with each other. So if I was going to create a new preset, I could play, mess with the knobs, and then go and then save the preset. Or if I don't want to mess with the knobs, I can do it off the computer. As long as they're connected together, they communicate. And then here at the bottom of the screen, if you can see it, are the patches. So it's really super simple. You just, you have whatever you created on the amp head, and you can just literally right-click it, and the patch that you saved, you can literally just hit sync to amplifier. And when you hit that, it asks you which channel you want to assign it to, and you just choose the channel. So honestly, I did this process weeks ago before I went on tour, and I haven't done it since. And right when I got here, I realized that since I hadn't done it, I forgot. And I was like, oh no, I have to show people how to use this. And I forgot, because I haven't had to do it, because all the sounds that I made, I used it for that tour. But it's seriously so simple that I sat down, I was like, okay, I haven't done this in a long time, so off the top of my head, I don't remember. But, hold on, let me push this button. Oh, it's pretty simple, sync to amplifier. Because I don't use this actual head, because this is a demo. So to make this sound like something that I programmed for myself, I had to sync my presets that are on my laptop to the head. So literally all I did was I right-clicked it and synced the amplifier and assigned it to a channel, and now some of these sounds that I'm doing off this head are the sounds that I have live for the songs that I play. I mean, it's really that simple. And you can easily just name the patches. Like for me, I named it based on the songs. So I have a song name, and I have the clean tone, the distortion tone, or the delay, whatever it is, and it's just all listed there, and it's all easy to recall. If I realized that for this one song, I felt like the distortion needed to change after playing it some more, I can start off with the preset, adjust it, and just resave it. And then since I'm using, like the MIDI triggers that I'm using for live, it's still the same channel. So it's still triggering the tone. The whole trick is that once I change it here, I just have to sync it to here, and then it all still works. So I don't have to, make it more complicated. I don't have to worry about getting more complicated when I start to change things. That, I mean, in a nutshell, that is kind of an overview of everything this amp head can do. It's ridiculously simple, but it seems more complex. It has what I call complex tones but simple control. And to me, that is something that is ridiculously valuable when you're trying to play guitar and be functional. You don't want to spend a week just to go, I can finally play a song, you know. And with more complicated softwares, you know, you have to like take forever, and then finally you can go, I can play. You know, now I can finally do what I want to do, which is play my instrument and have some control. With this, you don't have to wait that long to get to it. And like I was showing you before, it's not that hard to make changes on the fly, to figure out any variable that changes. It's not hard to do those things and control it. Any questions from anybody? Okay. One thing I'll bring up also is the ID series. The reason why it's called the ID series is because it's ID obviously is for identity, and the whole basic principle of it is the fact that this amplifier is trying to be a tool for people to create their own identity of tone. So you don't feel like, you know, limited by just more one-dimensional, like here's this one amp, it's got, you know, some EQ and tone knobs, and that's that amp. You know, this thing's a lot more flexible and it allows somebody to create their own identity sonically through the amp, so that someone can show, you know, what they're hearing in their head and make it their own and not sound just like everybody else. I think that's it for me, unless anyone has any questions or comments or wants me to do something fancy with the amp head.
Can you do something fancy?
Do something fancy? Turn everything on at once. Fancy. The fancy thing, what I would have done is I would have turned Logic on, and you could have watched it MIDI changing, but I don't have a MIDI cable. That was my fancy. I'm a ghost. There's something controlling it. It's not me. But unfortunately, we don't have a MIDI cable, so I can't do that. So all I can do is talk. Anything else? It's my first time, so. Well, I guess thank you for your attention, and thank you for listening to me explain the ID Series 100. Thank you.
There's not a MIDI cable in the whole house.
No. They went to Roland, they went to every single one. And I was like, how are we in this big, huge electronics place and not one person has a MIDI cable?
That's the mystery of the day.
Yeah, yeah.
The MIDI trigger, is that just a time thing, or is it actually?
Well, I can show you. I'll turn that on. I'll show you. I didn't turn that on before because it's technically not Blackstar, but that's my session. And because you hit spacebar and it goes, we have a click,
Right.
and then I have.
Is that breaks or?
Well, I have the triggers so that.
Oh,
I planned it all out, so I had to sit there and listen to the song. I put the song above the click.
Right.
And I was like, okay, here's where the distortion turns off,
Right.
and the clean comes on. So I timed it, and then we had rehearsal, and then I was like, oh, I'm one beat early. And I was like, okay, so then I just edited it, we played the song again,
That's pretty
and
sick.
now it works. So yeah, so
And you use that to control. I didn't really use MIDI triggers and Logic like that.
yeah. I mean, I slowly but surely made this complicated. Before, all it was just audio.
Right.
And it was just like, hey, you know, instead of running an iPad or an iPod or something like that, it was like I could physically see it and deal with it.
Right.
But yeah, like, you know, we have the audio for a click, and then I have a track for lights and a track for the Blackstar.
That's awesome.
And so MIDI trigger this, MIDI trigger my lights, click on the ears, and that's why it's always exactly where it needs to be.
Right.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah, and it all runs through this mode too. Like the USB goes to my lighting converter, but then the MIDI comes out of here and goes to the head. Then the audio comes out of here and goes to a DI, and then it goes to the house.
So you're running the laptop too, or do you have an assist running it?
I'm doing it.
Right.
Well, the new thing that I'm doing is
Tablet.
I got an iPad. And I'm having issues right now because there's so much Wi-Fi going through here that it's breaking up the signal. But what I'm doing now, let's see if it actually works right now. it's not reading it. Is I have it so that I have this app, and I'm controlling logic from the iPad, so I don't have to go back to the computer and mess with it. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have this mounted in front of me, like a keyboard basically, and I can monitor whatever's going on here visually, edit it, change it, and then the simple things I can stop and start it. So let's pretend something happens and I need to stop what's going on. I can stop it in front of me. I don't have to go off stage. I just reach up and touch it. And so basically, you know, kind of the, I guess, non-human element of just hitting a space bar and letting things go.
Right.
I can make it a little more human because it's right in front of me to stop and start it.
Yeah, I do an iPod playback. Like, there are definitely times that fuck, you're not gonna be able to see that.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is the first time I've brought this out of my house.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, I just literally started doing this, and then it was working. But literally, because there's so much Wi-Fi going through here, that I created a network on my computer. This is syncing to the network, and that's why I'm not using anyone's Wi-Fi. They're just reading each other, but it's still losing its signal, so it's not controlling it.
So you haven't used that on tour yet?
No.
The iPad?
No. So here's a good example of problem solving. You know, like hey, what's going on? And then go, okay, well, how can I make sure that doesn't happen?
Live.
You know? Yeah, but the thing is, live is like, there's never going to be a time where we have this many Wi-Fi signals screwing with it. But before I realized it was that was the problem, you know, it's simple things like, I have to have like